Hey folks, Greg Gutierrez here, California Delta. Just wanted to give you a tip on throwing swim bait presentations. A lot of folks hear how we're catching swim bait fish on the Delta, and I'm just here to show you one little way that I do it. And it works high tide and low tide, and I have kind of a split presentation on how I do it. Basically, it involves just weighted hooks, rod setup, line setup, and a couple of baits that really do a great trick. Great job. I use a lot of these reaction innovation swim baits, the skinny dipper. They're heavily weighted. They're just really vibraty. They give off a lot of tail action, and they allow good penetration for your hook to go through. What I like doing low tide, I will use a little bit smaller hook, and with no weight whatsoever. I use basically the weight of the bait itself, and I fish it a little higher. I use 17 to 20 pound test, 100% fluorocarbon on it. As the tide gets a little higher and there's a little bit more movement in and around the stalks and the grass, I go with just a little bit more weight. It's not much more, it's just a 1/16 of an ounce, but I use a much bigger hook so that the hook sits back further in the bait. And it allows it to sit more, keel down more, so the bait tends to plow a little bit. And then as more water comes in and I'm fishing a little bit deeper, I fish a little bit more weight, and that allows the bait to get down and kind of knock the bottom surfaces and the stalks of grass, and it kind of throws the bait. So it creates that reaction strike that you're looking for. Skinny dippers, couple different colors. I like low light, I like the darker ones, and when it's high and sunny, I actually like the bright, shiny baits. It has a really cool contrast and it flashes. And again, I'm triggering fish on a reaction strike. So, skinny dippers, 3 different weight hooks, 17 to 25 pound test. I use a 7'3" medium heavy action rod with a really light tip and a big strong backbone, and I use a 7-to-1 reel. Burn them in there as soon as you get them on. Take up the slack, because these fish will knock it and it'll just like cut in your line. Anyhow, go try those tips. I'm sure you're going to catch some fish.
Hey everybody, Ken Ma out here fishing on the Delta. It was kind of windy today. Had a pretty good day. Fished by myself and had a 22-20, I think it was. Caught a couple of nice fish. Caught a couple also on a swim bait. And I'm here to just show you a real quick, kind of a secret little tip that I do. This is a 7-inch Osprey, and you know, I like to throw it on a crucial flipping stick or swim bait rod, Corrado 300, and this is on Power Pro Super Slick 65 pound braid. And something that I do with these swim baits, and what I encourage people to do is during the off season or in between tournaments, you know, don't wait when it's right in the middle of the swing of the tournament season to do this. But most people, when they rig these types of Ospreys with a treble hook, I also upgrade the treble hook to a 2/0 Gamakatsu round bend. A lot of times, if you notice, what you got to do is you got to take this hook and you got to bury it into the body, and that's what keeps it from riding up. Problem with that I found is that it tears up your bait, you know, and the baits aren't really cheap. But the other thing is more so than tearing up the bait, you know, your hook goes in, goes out, goes in, goes out, and then sooner or later it's not going to hold your hook anymore. So what I did was I actually take it and I notch out a little notch, and I put a magnet in there. I don't know if you can see that, but I put a magnet in there. So what happens is when I make this cast, I kind of rip the bait so it kind of gets it going, and if you can see, it hits the magnet and it'll hold that bait, it'll hold that hook, just like if you were sticking it into the plastic. So again, you know, the magnets I get by the 50 pack. You have to use a certain resin, and I'll go ahead and give you that because it took me a long time to find it. But there's a resin called Tear Repair. It's a vinyl like seat tube. You can't use a whole bunch of stuff because it won't stick. I tried everything. Mend It doesn't work. But basically you notch it, you put it in there, and then you squeeze that tear repair. It's kind of like silicone, but for some reason silicone doesn't really stick to it. And then it also allows the magnet to still work, because if you make it too thick, the magnet won't work. So there's a real life tip. And that's how I hook my swim baits.
Show me the belly.
Hey, this is Kevin Stewart here. I want to talk about a swim bait technique that I enjoy throwing. I will talk about the Blade Runner Spintrix head. That's an underspin head. Matches ideally with the Bastrix Spintrix body, which you know, has no eyeballs, so because the eyeballs on the Spintrix head. Basically, that's what the head looks like here, without a body rigged on it. It's available in a multitude of sizes. I like throwing the 1/4 and 3/8 ounce heads myself. Again, on the rigging of this bait, I like to take a razor knife and make a slit in the back, and then put the bait onto the hook with a little bit of super glue. That way it gives the bait a lot of flexibility. And it seems to me that I can make a bait last a whole lot longer by having that cut in there rather than just sticking the point of the hook through. After catching a few fish, it doesn't seem to tear the bait up nearly as bad. The other nice thing is I mean, with this underspin head, you can tie a multitude of swim bait bodies onto the back. This is a Bastrix solid paddle tail. And I don't make a slit in a solid piece of plastic. I'll just run it up. Again, put a little bit of super glue on there so the fish aren't pulling it down the hook, making it last as long as you can. This bait here has a nice wobble to it. Swims through the toolies real well. You can actually take the lighter weights like this. I'll take this down, and when I'm fishing rock beds, put it down in the rocks, let it shake around in the rocks. And you know, just like feeding bait fish, and you can catch a lot of bass this way with this setup right here. So this is like a 4-inch swim bait right here. I have a problem with having 4 eyes on any bait I throw, so a lot of swim baits come manufactured with eyeballs in them. People want to put an underbelly hook in it, or however they want to rig it. The Spintrix was designed working with Bastrix to have eyeballs in the head and no eyeballs in the body. So it's a Spintrix head with a Spintrix body. Give it a try and see how you like it.